Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to the first Ferguson City Council meeting in the new year. We're going to open with our opening ceremony. Meeting is now called to order. We will have a silent prayer. Now the pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Councilwoman Noah,
Here.
Councilman Palmer,
Here.
Councilman Ashby,
Here.
Councilwoman Robinette,
Here.
Councilwoman Lipka, look like she's joining now. Councilwoman Nelson,
Here.
Mayor Jones.
Here.
Give me just a second and I'll catch Councilwoman Lipka that she's joining now.
Okay.
Councilwoman Lipka, we're doing attendance.
I am here, sorry.
You okay? Okay, a quorum is present. At this time, we will open up our public comments. We ask that you will speak up. You have 3 minutes. Octavia will let you know when your 3 minutes are up. If you put your information in the chat, she can call you from there. Clerk Pittman, do we have anyone who would like to speak tonight in public comments?
Yes, the first person I see is Jerry Knoll.
Mr. Knowles.
Okay, thanks, Octavia. Good evening and Happy New Year, Mayor Jones and City Council. In 2020, the City of Ferguson instituted a policy on the public release of body-worn camera and in-car camera footage recorded during a serious incident. Among the policy definitions of a serious incident is this one: a police vehicle pursuit that results in death. We did have such a serious incident on November 22nd when an FPD officer attempted to stop a speeder on West Florissant. The speeder refused to yield, sped off, and caused a crash that resulted in the death of a woman. According to this policy, the city manager, the city attorney, and the civilian review board are to review the camera footage and consult with the FPD chief on whether to release the footage to the public. Members of the CRB were invited to review the footage. We did so and recommended that the footage not be released. The CRB members involved in the review felt there was no value in releasing the footage in deference to the family of the woman who lost her life, and especially since all the available footage took place after the crash. There was no footage of the events that led up to the crash. The reason there was no video footage prior to the crash is that the FPD officer failed to turn on his body-worn camera video, which was a clear policy violation, and the FPD patrol car had a defective video system that did not turn on when the officer switched on his flashing lights as it should have. As chair of the CRB, I have to take issue with how the role of the CRB in this review has been reported because little or no context was given to our recommendation. For example, in today's consent decree hearing, the city attorney summarized the CRB's role in one sentence. This is it. The CRB recommended that the video footage not be released. Anyone listening to the hearing might conclude that the CRB was by itself deciding arbitrarily that no footage should be released. The proper context would have been to say that since the FPD officer did not turn on his body-worn camera and the patrol car had a defective video system, the CRB recommended that there was no value in releasing the video footage that was available, all of which took place after the fatal crash. and also in deference to the family of the deceased woman, there was no value in releasing that. To the federal judge's credit, Judge Perry asked and confirmed with the city lawyer that all the footage was from
Just
after
10
the
seconds.
crash.
10 seconds left.
Okay. Chief Doyle, in his letter to the parties, did better, noting that the video did not capture the actual event, but still there was no transparency on why there was no video of the actual event. The very first sentence of this policy on release of footage says, and here's a quote, "The city of Ferguson recognizes that transparency facilitates increased trust between the Ferguson Police Department and the community." So we lobby at all times for transparency. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I have Cassandra Butler.
Hi. So good evening, everybody. I have a lot to say and then I have a little to say. So I too attended the consent decree today, and just the optics of not having a person at the Ferguson table that I didn't even recognize. No disrespect, Mr. Selick, but Apollo wasn't there, our usual attorney, and our consent decree coordinator was not there. So I'm just mentioning the optics of how it looks like, the importance we give that. Now, I will say it's balanced by staff that were there, but the table looked pretty bad. And Mr. Paulo did give make the report that Mr. Selick read. And it had a lot of information, including the information Jerry just mentioned, which wasn't entirely transparent. And I think Ferguson is having some issues with transparency. So I'll just mention that. I also, when I talk about transparency, I'm also very cognizant of some of the major hiring we did last year, including the consent decree coordinator, who was not there today and who did not give a report or prepare a report for today, and how he didn't really have to apply for that position. He was appointed as interim and just said, "Oh, you do it," just given that position. And also the lack of transparency in the process for hiring the city manager, and the lack of a transparent process in one chief of police leaving and the next one arriving. So I'm not really feeling good about how the council is managing some of these things, and that the council really needs to back up a little bit, be more transparent, and stop micromanaging staff. So that's my initial impression. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Butler.
Mayor, I don't have anyone else.
Okay, well, thank you. At this time, public comments are
Excuse
closed.
me, I'm sorry, Mayor. I'm sorry. This is Erica Brooks. I put my name down to comment.
Ms. Brooks, I do not have you in the I do not have you in the chat. I do not have you in the chat.
I put it in the chat where it says City of Ferguson. I put it in there twice, actually. So, because the last time I did that, I told you, and I wasn't recognized. So I put it in there twice so you see it.
I have Jerry Nolan and Ms. Butler, Mayor, but if she wants to speak, that's of course your call.
You have 3 minutes, Miss Brooks.
Okay. Good evening. Happy New Year. And so I want to follow up on the resurfacing on Dade Avenue because over the time and different types of climate, it's an area called the backfield, which is the space between the street and the sidewalk, has started eroding due to rain. And I spoke with different residents that live in the area, one in particular at 457 South Dade. He had expressed to me that before that reconstruction happened on that street, he had concrete in his backfield. So there was no dirt there. It was there, so it'll be, solid. And when they did finish the street, they put dirt in there, but the dirt that's been in the different backfield areas, they are not compact. So if you go down Dade right now, a lot of those backfields area, the space between the sidewalk and the curb that has grass and dirt in there is coming up out of there because of the drainage is making it just go down the street drain. And so I know that that particular house also told me that when a car came down the street and tried to go, kind of come over a little bit so another car could pass by, their car got lodged in that space and had to get towed out of there. And the house right next to his house had the same issue. Not only that, when you're walking down that area, you could possibly break your ankle or because it's just that deep where if you're not paying attention, you could get hurt. So I looked at several houses along that way today because it was raining today and yesterday to see how that water is getting down in there and making it, muddy and potholes, like holes in the area. So like I say, if the public works director could go down through that area off of South Dade and look at those backfill areas, which I said is a space between the sidewalk and the street, which has grass in that area. But like I say, in front of 457 South Dade, he said he had concrete before they dug it up. If they can go back and review those backfill areas and also the yards that some of them don't have just the backfill area has the yard. If they go back in there and possibly replace the dirt or put tar or something in there to make it to where that mud doesn't come up and it causes the people to, it'd be a dangerous situation for somebody, or kids. Cause I know a lady was telling me, I went past her house today and they put logs in that area because they didn't want their kids to go out there and hurt themselves. And I think you all could like review and see what's going on there. That will be a huge help for safety reasons to kind of follow up with that. That's one of the main things that I wanted to talk about. But other than that, I wanted to express
Have
my
10 seconds.
appreciation for the different slab concretes that you things that y'all put down for Mueller and Plaza as well. But it's one slab on Mueller that they didn't address at all. It's still a dip in there, but hopefully they can go back and address that too. It's right around 442, right before you get to 442 Mueller Avenue. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mayor, I've had some other sign in.
Okay,
Next I have Frank Logan.
Mr. Logan.
Yes, I would just like to address the concerns of Monterey Cigar Lounge and the amount of break-ins being so close to the police station. I just want to know, why can we not have at least one cop that's patrolling the lot over there? Because we have a lot of people that have had their car broken into that it's getting ridiculous. But they'll come ticket cars for parking on the street. But if we want them to just patrol the lot so our cars don't get broken into, and being a resident in this area, close in this area, and having my car broken into, I don't feel we're doing enough to tackle this problem. And it shouldn't be like this. This is the main street that stuff happens on. There are a lot of restaurants, and there are a lot of people with the businesses around and all who are complaining about it. And I just want to know why nothing is being done about that. And Mayor, I see you shaking your head, but I don't need a shaking of the head. We need solutions for this. This can't keep happening.
You're not looking at the right person. I'm looking straight forward. I'm not shaking my head at you at all.
I'm not saying you're shaking your head at me, but I saw you shaking your head. But we got to do something, though.
You shake my head.
Okay, I don't need the back and
Thank
forth,
you.
but we need
Thank
to
you,
do
Mr.
something.
Logan.
That's what I thought. Enough said.
Okay, Mayor, I don't have anyone else signed in.
No one else signed in? Okay, thus in our public comment session, and we'll move to the manager's report. City Manager Hamilton. Hampton, could you please give us your report?
Yes, Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. First off, I wanted to touch on if there's complaints in the neighborhood about streets that we've fixed or things that are not being completely satisfied with, please go to report a concern on our webpage. You can go there and it'll take you right to where it will take you to the Public Works Director and our code, and we can deal with it there. Mr. Logan, that is an issue throughout the city. I know Montrose might be an area that's being hit hard, but we also have a lot of areas that are also being hit hard throughout the whole city, and it's just not City of Ferguson. I will get with Chief Doyle and we will see what we can come up with to work on maybe trying to solve some of that issue. But in reality, we will do the best we can. Also, City Hall was closed a little bit early today due to weather. And I appreciate everyone coming tonight on the Zoom. The consent decree hearing was today. We will have bad weather coming in this weekend. I will be trying to get with the Ministry Alliance to see what shelters they have available and try to get them additional resources that I can to make the shelter better for the unhoused, if I can get them any more resources or if they need any more resources. And then we will update the website so everyone knows. I will also get with Chris and Nicole. We will give a report of the consent decree hearing as well on our next meeting. At this time, Mayor, this is all I have for the manager's report.
Thank you. Would you introduce our special guest, please?
For special presentation, I'm sorry.
Yeah, special presentation.
Yes, I'm sorry. First off, on the agenda, the whistle stop, I'd like to amend it because we are not going to have the whistle stop RFP tonight during the special presentation, if that's possible.
I make a motion to amend the minutes for removing special presentations for tonight's meeting.
A second, Naquita Noah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
One opposed. The
No,
whistle.
no, I said aye. I just said it late.
Okay, the whistle stop RFP will be postponed to a later date. Okay, our second guest under special presentation.
Yes, we have Mary Hawks from Ferguson Historical Society. Mary?
Hi, we had to unmute. Yeah, so we'll just give you a little bit of word about what we're doing. So yeah, we're from the Ferguson Historical Society, and I'm the president, I'm the current president. I'm here with Suzanne Cross, our secretary, Jeannie Betcher, our vice president, and over here you can't see him, but Jerry Benner is a director. So we are all on the board. And so I'll just start with a little information about us. We're here today to give you an update on what we've been doing, or if you're unaware of us, to introduce you to us. So I already introduced who we are. We currently have 9 board members with room for a few more. Can't remember exactly how many, but the Ferguson Historical Society was founded in 1972. We are dedicated to preserving and promoting the history of Ferguson, Missouri. Membership is open to all sharing our interests. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and communicate information significant to the history of Ferguson, including related artifacts. In the years since its founding, many hardworking, loyal members, all volunteers, have worked diligently to lead special projects in our community, host open houses and events, maintain records and artifacts, and work to preserve and protect the best we can the history of Ferguson. We're always eager to discover any new pieces of Ferguson's history and share with anyone who's interested. A few of the more notable projects the Ferguson Historical Society has been responsible for that you might have noticed around town. The Wall of Fame in front of the Ferguson Fire Department. It highlights some former Ferguson residents who have achieved some great accomplishments. For instance, Michael McDonald of the Doobie Brothers, or Louis Mall, the creator of Mall barbecue sauce. There's several of them over there. The cabooses in the UMB lot next to the City Walk waterfall on Florissant Road. We're responsible for those. I believe that's city property. In the past, we've had that open during special events like 4th of July for people to tour. Right now, we are waiting to get a new roof. We've been waiting for quite a while. So we can't go in there right now. Nothing is in there right now because we don't want it to get too, ruined from the water. But the City Walk is also a source of, the cabooses, source of pride for us. Or you might have read some articles in the Ferguson Neighborhood News written by Jerry, who's sitting next to me, on various subjects pertaining to Ferguson's history. The Ferguson Historical Society is located in the former Good Shepherd Convent, a mid-century modern house built in 1959 for the nuns of the Good Shepherd Church and School. It's located behind what is now the Ferguson Community Center. We have a museum with artifacts on display, a file room, and many, many other artifacts that don't fit in the display areas. When they moved into the house, that was long before I joined, our members did all the work to set up the displays, the filing, the storage areas. We call that the History House. Everything we have there is donated. Other than our open houses and events, the History House is open by appointment. So we're happy to show it. If people want to see, they just need to contact us.
So Jerry can be.
Our group was somewhat inactive for a couple of years, in part because of COVID, but we're happy to say we have new members and new officers. One of the first things we did after electing new officers last spring was join Historic St. Louis, an association of historic sites, museums, and houses all over the St. Louis area, such as the Gettemeyer House or Ty Denora in Florissant, the Hawken House and Webster House, Bellefontaine Cemetery, many, many others, all over the St. Louis area. As part of this group, we take part in their biannual open houses, one in June and one in December. All the historic sites are promoted together by Historic St. Louis. And it's a great way for us to get support and ideas and feedback from these other sites. Representatives from each group, we meet 2 or 3 times a year, and it's just a great way to get some support. So I wanted to mention some of the events that we've had in 2023. We had a fall open house and a Christmas open house. We also held our first annual Ferguson Holiday Lights Tour. It was great fun. We sold tickets. Attendees met at the History House for refreshments, and then they rode on the Jolly Trolley around to see the lights in Ferguson, the Christmas lights, and listen to interesting facts about Ferguson's past, as well as some old Christmas traditions. We thought all 3 events were very successful. The December one was in conjunction with the Historic St. Louis, but the others were just our events. So members of our group worked very hard to clean inside the History House and outside and do some landscaping. That is city property, but we do the work to keep it clean and presentable for our guests. And we hope to be able to do more in terms of updates inside and outside the History House. We also do occasional booths at the farmers market where we have info on events, merchandise for sale, and memberships available. And I wanted to let you know about some of our upcoming events in 2024. So we'll also do the Historic St. Louis open houses again, one in June, one in December. And we'll do our 2nd annual Ferguson Holiday Lights Tour in December, and possibly some other events if an opportunity arises or if somebody comes up with a great idea. We'll also, this is very important, we'll also soon have a website for information on events, contact info, payment options for memberships, and signups for our newsletter, which will be starting pretty soon. It's in the works. And another very important project this year, really excited about this, the process of digitizing our archives. I don't think I need to tell you how important that is. It's extremely important to have those digital copies of these historic documents and artifacts in case anything happens to the originals, but so which we sincerely hope that doesn't happen. But we were thrilled to have a doctoral candidate studying archiving, also happens to be the husband of a vendor at the Ferguson Farmers Market, approach us and volunteer to help us get started. So he's already there. He's been there a couple of times, working on getting us started, organizing how it's going to go, and starting to archive some of the documents. It also fulfills the requirements for his practicum at the same time in order to graduate. So it's a win-win. So I'd like to pay a little special attention to an event we have planned for February. The Ferguson Historical Society is proud to host Slavery in St. Louis, an exhibit on loan from the Ulysses S. Grant National Historic Site in South St. Louis County by Grant's Farm. It will be at the Ferguson Community Center. We don't have quite enough room in the History House. And it will be the first full month in February 5th week. Oh, I'm sorry, first full week. Thank you. In February 5th through 9th. It'll be open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Friday. It will also be open for school field trips. We've contacted some of the local high schools, and we've had a little bit of interest, but nothing scheduled yet. Nick Sacco, he's curator and historian for the Grant National Historic Site, has volunteered to host a roundtable discussion, which we'll be doing that Tuesday of that week with a reception immediately before. I think we'll do the reception at 6 p.m. and start the roundtable at 7 p.m. We will also be incorporating some information from Rashad Timmons, a doctoral candidate at the University of California, Berkeley, who has done extensive research on Thomas T. January, a large landowner in Ferguson with enslaved persons. His research on the railroad and its effect on our area, which Mr. January was directly involved with, will also be included. So I'd also like to add that the collection at the Ferguson Historical Society is for Ferguson. It's not our collection. It belongs to the community. We do our best to protect and preserve it, but it exists for Ferguson and anyone interested in the history of Ferguson. And just in closing, I'd like to invite you all to open houses or events, our meetings, which are held the third Thursday of each month at the History House at 9:30 a.m. to read Jerry's articles in the Ferguson paper, donate an item from Ferguson's history, or become members. And please make time to come to Slavery in St. Louis on February 9th or 5th through 9th. So basically, that's all we wanted to say. We wanted to let you know that we are here for Ferguson, and we hope we have your support in return. We are concerned about some of those projects, getting roofs on the cabooses. We desperately need internet in order to do the archiving project. So, and a few other things, big mud hole out in the front yard of the History House, things like that. That would be nice to be fixed. But we hope we can count on your support because we are passionate about Ferguson's history. It's a fascinating town with fascinating history, and we hope we can get a lot of people involved in the history. That's
Thank
about
you.
all.
Thank you. Next, Mayor, I have Michael Burton from St. Louis Survivors Legal Support Partnership. Michael, sir, Mr. Burton.
Hi, good evening. As Mr. Hampton indicated, I'm Mike Burton. I am the Executive Director of St. Louis Survivors Legal Support. We incorporated about a year ago, and we provide free legal services to victims of domestic violence. I'm here to talk about the possibility of partnering with the folks from the police department at Ferguson. We would like to have them as our 10th police department partner. I'd like to just tell you a little bit about what it is we do, and I'll start by just telling you a little bit about my background. I was fortunate to be a judge in St. Louis County for 22 years. I started the first domestic violence court in the state back in 2009. I started the very first mental health court in St. Louis area. But as a judge, I heard thousands of cases that involved domestic violence. And one of the things that I saw and completely believe is that no one should, as a survivor, should walk into a courtroom by themselves if they don't have to. And I think the numbers themselves tell a lot, and will give you sort of an idea as to why it is I wanted to do what we're doing. And I start by telling you just some pretty depressing numbers. First of all, there's estimated to be between 10 to 11 million acts of domestic violence every year in this country. The witnesses that are children to domestic violence, I'm not saying they themselves are victims, I'm talking about kids that are exposed to domestic violence, we estimate to be about 3.5 million every year. And the numbers are so staggering when you start looking at what the impact is on children that witness domestic violence. And folks are predicting and have estimated that a boy that witnesses his father commit domestic violence against his mother is 10 times more likely to be a perpetrator. The experts also say that girls that witness someone abusing their mother are 6 times more likely to be victims. We also know from the statistics that someone that is poor is much more likely to be a victim, and oftentimes, because they have nowhere else to go, they return to their abusers. I think the statistics that really made a difference in my mind, as if those numbers that I just told you about weren't horrific enough, is that the numbers that folks are indicating are the ones that report the domestic violence. It's about 10%, and a much lesser percent come forward to seek and order protection. We also know that of the ones that actually come forward and seek an order of protection, that is, they come to the courthouse, fill out a petition, are told to come back to court for a hearing after the individual gets served, 80% of those cases in the St. Louis area are dismissed. And we know why. The percentages are that high because in many instances, the experts tell us that once the respondent gets served, he, and it's usually 85% of the time the individuals are male, he makes sure that she doesn't come back to court. And that could be through threats, false promises, some kind of coercion. It's a real problem. And then we know of even that small percentage that do come back, 90% of the folks that are in court are unrepresented. And what we know is that when you're not there with an attorney, the chance of you prevailing in court is much less. And of course, the chance of you getting the kinds of relief that you deserve is much lesser as well. So when I started this program, one of the things that I counted on back when I was running our domestic violence court was the incredible passion and the incredible generosity of attorneys in our community, that it came forward and participated in helping run the program. I knew that I could count on these attorneys to help with this nonprofit as well. And at this time, we have approximately 150 volunteer lawyers. We have at this time have represented about 170 different victims since we got started in April of last year. And we're seeing some amazing statistics. What we're doing is we're partnering, first of all, with, and Ferguson would be our 10th police department. We're not, there's no strings attached. We're just, trying to partner with groups that can refer cases to us. And we know that when people are referred to a particular group, they're more likely to participate in the process. We know not only are we partnering with 10 different police departments. We're also partnering with different organizations that take care of victim advocacy issues in the community. We know that when people trust those particular groups, they're going to be more likely to trust us in helping them get the protection they need. So we're seeing more people showing up in court to request orders of protection. We're also helping people fill out the petitions. In many instances, people don't fill out the petitions adequately enough. And there are many challenges that people have when they're trying to get orders of protection. Some of those issues just come down to, understanding the English language. For folks that are here as first generation people, we also, know that people come to the courthouse at their worst. They're by themselves in a huge building, and something terrorizing just occurred. They're not at their best, point to be filling out a petition for an order of protection as accurately as they should. In many instances, someone might just say, he yelled at me when they're filling out the petition, leaving out the fact that he yelled at me and then pushed me down the stairs or held a gun to my head, or the night before he did this. We know that helping folks make sure that their petitions are adequate and accurate are going to give them the help they need when they come back to court. We also are seeing that when people know they have someone waiting for them that's working with them, they're going to show up for their hearing. We're seeing that with so many more of our clients than on the average. We also know, and we see, that by having representation at the hearings, people are getting the relief they need. In many instances, they don't know what kind of relief they can ask for. Most people don't even know right now that Missouri went from a state that really wasn't that great as it relates to order protection laws to one of the best. It used to be that the best you could hope for is getting a 1-year order of protection with an automatic renewal for 1 year. Now, if in fact you can show that someone is a special danger based on their past, based on whether they've had prior orders of protection, prior criminal record, someone can now come into court and arguably get an order of protection of up to 10 years. And we're seeing those now. There's no way that, a person without an attorney would understand what they would need to do. First of all, they wouldn't understand what the law is, but secondly, to understand what they would need to do to present someone's record. We're seeing that having these attorneys is really making a difference. So that's my pitch. We're just trying to, work with, we kind of wanted to cap it at 10 different police departments because we're really busy. And in fact, we're starting to get to a point where even all these volunteers are calling us and telling us, pull back a little bit. Our hope is that we're looking at more grants that are going to allow us to get, to a point where we can expand our services. One of the things that we want to ultimately do is be there to represent folks in custody matters. Folks that are victims of domestic violence are often thrust into the middle of a custody proceeding, made to sit right next to someone that had terrorized them. And just to avoid that kind of hell, we want to make sure we get a way to expand our services. So that's where we're at. I've spoken, at great length with Chief Doyle and with Mr. Hampton, and we just want to get your blessing with the idea that then we can start partnering. And not only are we able to work things out with this partnership about referrals, what we've found out is by making and having a partnership, we're also able to help the police. In so many instances, police have had some frustrations with maybe someone in the prosecuting attorney's warrant office or in the U.S. attorney's office when it relates to folks that are carrying a firearm as a felon. I'm able, because of the connections that I have and other people in our organization, we're able to reach different prosecuting attorneys in ways that maybe the police officer might not be able to. and it's making a difference too. So we'd like to, extend our partnerships to 10. And thank you for letting me speak here today. And I see a hand is raised, and if folks don't mind my asking Linda to ask her question.
Well, sir, thank you for your time and for bringing this to our community. But really, my question is for the mayor. Mayor Jones, is there any action or motion that we need to take as a council to implement this?
I really don't think so, because they will be working directly with the police department, and it's a service that they will be rendering to our constituents.
Okay. I do have one question for you, sir, and appreciate your answer, Mayor Jones. Sir, how are we going to get the word out to the community, or how have you done that in the past with the other police departments you've worked with?
We're just starting, and what has been working is I typically have been going to roll calls for all the police departments that we're dealing with. So I will meet up with all the police departments, provide them a basic training on the law of orders of protection. A lot of times there's some nuances there that folks aren't aware of, and then tell them about our service. That's the first way that we're getting the word out. We're also getting the word out with different agencies throughout the area. And I'll start by saying, different major organizations that focus on victims of domestic violence, like Safe Connections, Alive, the YWCA, they're some of our partners that when they are dealing with folks in distress. Jadasa is another group. When these groups meet up with someone that needs the help that we can provide, they reach out. And I neglected to tell you one other thing that we are doing. One is not only to help people in the order protection process. The other is to help folks get their orders of protection enforced. Unfortunately, in our community, there are too many violations that occur. All of them are misdemeanors, but there's no way that a police department or a prosecutor's office has the manpower to handle those problems. We at the courthouse, and I still got to be careful, I still call myself we, I'm not part of the courthouse anymore, but the courts in 2009 started a contempt court that essentially said, if someone violates an order of protection, they can come back to the judge, and the judge can appoint private lawyers to act as prosecutors to enforce their orders. Because this is what we're seeing. We're seeing that on the day that we tell someone to stay away, that night he texts her and says, screw you. Of course, she calls the police, and there's nothing they can do. They don't have the manpower. Second night, he's driving past the house very slowly, well within that zone that he was told to stay away. That's still not something that, most prosecutors are going to be able to act on. Next day, he's looking in the window, nothing. The next day, he's in the house, and now it's too late. So what we have encouraged folks in the domestic violence court to do is come back to our court. There's a very easy process that we can help folks walk them through the court system to get them the relief that they need. So it's more than just saying, we'll get you an order of protection, because in so many instances, and I've seen it in other jurisdictions, they're like, what's the good of getting an order of protection? No one does anything about it. We can do a lot by partnering with the police departments, partnering with the folks from the county prosecutor's office, and partnering, most importantly, with a great group of volunteer attorneys. We're able to really make sure that there's teeth in these orders of protection. And sorry, I kind of digressed, but I just wanted to make sure you knew what else we're doing.
You're obviously passionate about what you do, and I appreciate what you do. And I'm thankful that I'm not in that position, but I know a lot of women who have been. So thank you for your work.
I appreciate that. And I will get all the information. I've sent some information to both Mr. Hampton and Chief Doyle, but I'll make sure that I get information to all of you that describes everything we do and how to reach us.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. You're welcome. At this time, we are going to close our special presentation and move to a public hearing. We do not have any public hearings at this time. We move to our consent agenda. The city council meeting minutes, regular meeting minutes, 12/12/23. I'm going to request a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes.
So move, Naquita Noah.
Second,
Second,
Blake.
Brown.
Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it. The minutes are approved. We don't have any boards or commission minutes at this time, but we have 3 items for the appointment. One, we have Nancy Whitener. She has requested to be appointed to the pension board. That appointment is by the mayor and approval by the council.
Okay, are you appointing?
I'm appointing her to the pension board, approval by the council.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Mayor,
Next,
Mayor, I'm
yes,
sorry, excuse me. I didn't catch who made the motion.
okay. Is there a motion to appoint? I appointed her to the pension board and the council has approved it. She needs a motion and a second.
I'll motion Blake Ashby.
Second, Linda Lipka to appoint Nancy Whitener to the pension board.
It's, you don't appoint, you approve.
Sorry, to approve the appointment of Nancy Whitener to the pension board.
Has it been properly moved in second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Next, we have Jeff Gallilonia. He is applying for the Parks Board. That appointment is by council and approval.
I, Phaedra Nelson, appoint Jeff.
Do you know,
Is there a second?
Galonia to the Parks and Recs Board.
Councilwoman, do you know?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said, do you know him? Can you tell us a little bit about him? If you do.
Yeah, sure. I can tell you about Jeff. He lives in the Forest
Before
Wood.
you do that,
Okay.
could do that, you need a motion and a second and then discuss it and then vote.
I'll second.
I second.
Oh, Naquita
Okay,
second.
now you can answer the question.
I am familiar with Mr. Jeff. He's a Forest Wood neighbor resident. He has been there for, is it 2 years, Jeff? It might be 2 years that he's been here. He's very active in the Forest Wood community. Knows his neighbors pretty well. He's very active in cleanup throughout that area as well. Has major concerns about some of the streets and things that I've talked to him about several times on. And he seems to be an all-around person and very well liked by his neighbors.
Awesome.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Are you ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Jeff is appointed to the Parks Board. I received a resignation letter from Mr. Patrick Chandler, and I forwarded it on to our clerk Pittman, who takes care of the boards and commission. And then he sent in a retraction letter rescinding his resignation. So as a council, we need to discuss this and make a motion on it.
Well, can you give us some more details regarding what date you received the letter on and what date you received the retraction on?
If I go back in the emails, I received his resignation on the 27th. And the retraction on the 28th.
And that was after he had sent the letter to Chief Doyle.
Yes, let me find all that for you. Just hang on. He sent the resignation letter. It's on Tuesday. No, he's rescinded the letter, his resignation letter on,
November 26th.
okay, I got it. Yes, November 26th, and he rescinded on the 27th.
Well, Mayor, I mean, I don't think there's any emotion or, you know, biased of any manner involved in this. I think it's just really cut and dry. Once you resign from a board, you have now, you know, made the motion yourself to remove yourself from that board. And especially with CRB, there's so much that goes into it. I think that's a matter of, it has to completely start all over again. The person has to be nominated, it has to go through the whole process from scratch.
That's why we're discussing it, Councilwoman Lipka.
So that's my intake or
Okay.
input is what I'm trying to say.
And Mayor Jones, may I speak?
Yes, Councilman Ashby.
You know, it's a very complicated situation, and part of this involves situations outside of the CRB. However, you know, even as we spoke about down at the consent decree today, really we are trying to find ways to work together and trying to build trust back and forth. And I almost wonder if what Councilwoman Lipka said needs to be the path forward, that he did resign, we accept that resignation. If he chooses to move forward and reapply, that's certainly his option. But
Right.
you know, there would be conversations we would need to have about that.
And this is a very, I would say, you know, especially with what Mr. Knowles brought up tonight, it's very, very important to have very unbiased, unfaltering characters, people who can not be swayed one way or the other is what I'm trying to say. And they have to be very open and very unbiased. So I think this is a really important, this particular board, it's always very, very important nomination of someone.
Okay, so you need a motion on the floor to accept his resignation.
I make a motion to accept Mr. Chandler's resignation from the CRB.
I'll second, Blake Ashby.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? His resignation has been accepted. If he would like to be a part of the CRB again, he must apply. Thank you. At this time, Clerk Pittman, we have a request for liquor license.
Yes, Mayor. At the last meeting, I explained that I had an application pending for a new liquor license. And this is for Anya Smith, and it's at 42 South Florissant Road. The council has some questions about, I guess, the business and operations itself. So I did invite Ms. Smith to the meeting tonight, as requested, so that way, you know, she can answer your questions. This is the kind of preliminary. We've explained to her all of the requirements. I'm getting just a little bit of feedback from somebody. But we've explained to her all the requirements. But as per usual, when there's a new license, we bring the preliminary packet to the council or the request to the council to learn if they are desirous or if you all are desirous of having liquor at the location. And so that's kind of why we're here today. So Ms. Smith, I did see her join in.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
So if you want to go ahead and explain kind of what it is that you're looking to do, and then, you know, we'll let the council ask whatever questions that they have.
Sure. Again, my name is Anya Smith. I am the owner of Ellis Kitchen, located at 42 South Florissant Road. I've joined this meeting, of course, you all know, to seek a liquor license. This is my second location in Ferguson. I was once on West Florissant and 270. I started there back in 2018. So I've been in Ferguson for about 6 years. I've just recently moved to the South Florissant location. I purchased the building about 2 years ago, but I actually started the kitchen about a year ago. This month will be a year. So I am in this meeting because as of right now, I'm across from a church. I did reach out to the church via email, just giving them the rundown of Ellis Kitchen, how I came about opening Ellis Kitchen, and they did give me an approval via email to obtain a license. I can forward it to Ms. Pittman or anyone in the group, and she can send it to whoever in here. I would like to discuss the history of Ellis Kitchen. So Ellis is named after my late grandmother. She passed in 2017. So I named the restaurant after her to keep her name going. All the recipes are hers, and just a little history about myself. I grew up in Ferguson, went to Griffith, Ferguson Middle, graduated from McClure. So I am just trying to give back to where I originally grew up at. And I'm trying to obtain a liquor license to further grow my business so I can offer things such as brunch and an additional beverage for like the weekend. I am not a night restaurant. I am only open during the day, mid-evening. I'm not open very late hours. So, that's why I'm seeking a liquor license, just to expand my business.
Okay. Mayor, I believe also the Community Development Director, Rachel St. Pierre, I believe she is also on the call.
Okay.
She actually she had to meet with her as well. And with the proximity of the church, they had that conversation. So I was hoping if she could chime in on the requirements with the church as well.
Rachel?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, we did have a conversation about her proximity to the church. The municipal charter does outline a specific footage distance from the property line of the church, and I did recommend that she reach out to them to see if she could obtain that letter authorizing her to have liquor at that location. It sounds like they didn't have a problem with that and that she was able to obtain that letter easily and get that copy over to anybody that was interested in viewing it. And it doesn't sound like there would be an issue with her having a liquor license. We don't actually have a lot of restaurants that offer food and beverages on the downtown stretch. So I do think it'll be a great opportunity for her.
Thank you, Rachel. City
You're
Manager.
welcome.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, again, this is a very preliminary thing, and so we don't want to, in the past, we have wasted some people's times, and this is something we're trying to improve on as a city, so that we're not wasting anybody's time working on something that is not going to go anywhere. And this is why we want to bring this forward now, to have council kind of make not a full judgment on, yes, you get your liquor license, but if we can proceed further. Because I believe the next step would be a hearing on this.
True. Councilwoman Robinette.
One of my questions was going to be, is there a hearing? So it's good to hear that that would be in the future. I think we had a question last time around were the taxes paid up that's required for a liquor license. Do we have that in hand, Octavia, or?
So I'm showing the taxes were paid for 23, for 22, but the tax roll for 23 that went out in December, November, I'm not showing that as paid just yet.
Okay. So the parking lot taxes, I reached out to Rachel today. I emailed over the invoice because Ferguson is responsible for paying the taxes on the parking lot. She's working on that. So once I get that, I'll go ahead and submit the full payment to St. Louis County.
I'm sorry, I missed what you're waiting on the city for the parking lot taxes?
I have a contract with the Ferguson, the city, to pay for the taxes on the parking lot. It's been
Okay.
in place for almost 60 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Do you desire for her to move to the next step, which is the public hearing?
I don't have any reason why not. If the taxes are paid and we're gonna have a hearing, I think that's the next step.
Yep, I agree.
I agree.
Do we need a motion on that to move to the public hearing, Octavia?
No, we don't need a motion to move to public hearing. No, we don't need a motion for that.
Okay. So
We'll just, in our previous conversations, we hadn't discussed having a hearing. So I'll get with staff tomorrow, and then we'll go ahead and get the hearing scheduled.
okay. Okay, thank you.
So once the hearing is scheduled, then we can proceed.
To issue the liquor license, is that not correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great. So the clerk is going to get with staff and they are going to come up with a date for the hearing. And once the hearing is done, then council will be able to approve or not approve your liquor license. Okay? Thank you, Ms. Smith.
thank you.
That request is closed. I have a proclamation tonight. Whereas after 78 years in business, Geraldine Flores has permanently closed due to retirement. The business was started back in 1945 by Kathleen and Ben Rollis and named for their daughter Geraldine, mainly as a greenhouse providing various bedding and vegetable plants. It evolved throughout the years to a floral design shop providing cut flowers for weddings, just because, anniversary, births, and funeral, along with beautiful wearable flowers for proms and homecomings. Whereas a few families had told us that we've done 3 generations of their wedding flowers, and they were thrilled with the flowers at each occasion. Service were provided with genuine warmth and a blessing for each and every piece that left our building. We will miss all of our longtime regular customers and all of the wonderful stories they've shared with us. Whereas we have listened to joyful and painful, precious memory in so many people's lives and appreciate being trusted to have them share with us. We're thankful for our Ferguson community and the support we received for so many years. The decision to close was not taken lightly and is very bittersweet. Please keep us warmly in your prayers and memories as we transition to a new chapter in our lives. Now, therefore, I, Ella Jones, Mayor of the City of Ferguson, on behalf of the Ferguson City Council, and along with the citizen, do hereby congratulate Kathleen and Ben Rollis on their business, Geraldine Flores, for 78 years. That deserve a hand. Thank you. We move to our resolutions. We have resolution number 2024-1. Without objections, we're introduced by council members present. Hear none, Attorney Tom, please read the resolution.
Thank you, Mayor. A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a nuisance abatement services agreement with TRC Outdoor for abatement of nuisances and throughout the city with such services to include, without limitation, the mowing, trimming, and removal of overgrown vegetation and disposal of junk, trash, and debris.
City Manager Hampton.
Yes, Mayor and Council, as we've been discussing with you, we want to get a jump on the problem properties that we do have. And I have Rachel St. Pierre, our community code director. I'm sorry, and she can explain more.
Thank you, Rachel.
No problem. Okay, so this resolution is to enter into a contract, and we did have a few bids. And the bid that I think would suit us the best is from TRC Outdoors. We do have a problem with nuisance abatement in Ferguson. And we have had contracts with companies in the past, and it doesn't appear that they were able to keep up with the workflow that we had. So this is actually part of a long-term goal of ours. And we have an increasing amount of work even from May when I was first hired to now. So we're hoping to get caught up with that through this nuisance abatement company and complete all of the longstanding nuisance abatement that needs to be done, and then create a manageable state for all of those properties. So that way in the future, we could potentially hire internal employees that would be on staff to handle that and have it at a manageable state to start off their days with. And then a part of this is also ensuring that the fees are legally recorded so we can attempt to collect any debts and have them recorded with the county. And then, of course, all in all, this would lead to beautifying our city.
Thank you. Councilman Palmer, you have a question?
I wanted to ask the city manager if at one time with our contract with Republic Services community-wide, the city was receiving a large roll-off container every week free of charge at the city garage. And if that was still the case, I wanted to see if, just suggest that the person we are looking to select here possibly in their bid, they're quoting $29 per cubic yard of disposal fees. If we have dumpsters that especially aren't being utilized or brush area, we can dump brush, it might be best to allow the use of our facility since we're getting trash refuse for either free in the contract, or if we're buying dumpsters, likely about $10 a yard instead of 29. So it's just a way that we could possibly save money because having done some of this work, there can be a significant amount of yards of waste out of somebody's property, sometimes upwards of 30 or 40 yards. So, it could become $4,000 or $5,000 in, disposal fees if on a couple different properties, if we're not careful. So I just encourage him to look at that contract we have with Republic and see if we still are obtaining those dumpsters. And if so, how many are we actually using? It's just a way to possibly save some money.
Yeah, yes, sir. I don't know the exact numbers that we do get free. I know it's not one every week. I would look into the exact numbers. The one issue that we would have with them dumping the brush in the back where we put our chips is that we won't know the real cost, because when we rent a tub grinder, that is also part of the stuff that we take down as a city. And to say this was from that house and this was from that house, we would not know that. But I guess there would be some system that we could come up with, but we will look into. Like I said, I will get back to everyone on the exact number of dumpsters. One thing you will see is a recycled dumpster being put at City Hall. That is more for the lines of like the cardboard, the plastic, and the paper, and also at the police station. And I believe there's one at the community center now. That was in our contract, and when we had a conversation with Joelle, that was brought about, especially since we are one of the better ones in St. Louis County on recycling of trash. But we are still have a long ways to go, and these recycling dumpsters will hopefully bring our numbers down. But I will look into the number of dumpsters we do get. One of the things that does hurt us though is, and I'm all for the community events, the cleanups and all that, but a lot of those take some of those free dumpsters away. And so when we constantly have the dumping in the same areas, where we constantly have the same issues being brought up to the city for cleaning, those things affect how many free dumpsters that we do get and we utilize at Public Works, because it does take a toll on the city's dumpsters there. And that's just really from dumping. And we are looking into how we can stop that.
Thank you. Councilman Ashby.
I apologize, I can't figure out the online hand thing. And so you mentioned the fees. Are we adding those to the property tax bill for the property, or what mechanism have we arrived at to give ourselves the best chance of having them paid?
So John Hughes and I have talked, and we decided to give each property owner a 30-day billing period to which they can pay the bill through us with no late fees or having it assessed as a tax lien on the real estate taxes. After 30 days, we would have to submit that bill in a format that the county has given us to the county, and they would add it as a fee onto the real estate property taxes.
And so then if it was not paid at the next property year, then that would put them in arrears on their property taxes and kick off the post third sale process.
Correct.
Wonderful. Great progress.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also have one other thing on the nuisance properties. I know this is on this, but if I have one more second, we are looking also into, because it is in our charter, about fires. And Rachel, maybe you can expand a little bit more on this with the insurance companies. Because one of our big problems is we have houses that sit here for 8-9 years that have been destroyed in a fire, and hopefully we can solve that problem too. Rachel?
Yeah, so there are some houses now that do need some assistance with getting torn down. We have half houses, thank you to fires. And so in the future, what we're working on doing is communicating more effectively with the fire department to make sure that we ourselves, our inspectors, get out there in a timely manner and can document the fire damage, and then start the dangerous building process by sending them certified mail, giving them the opportunity to contact us and work with us and let us know what's happening. But one of the first steps that I think has been missing a lot is reaching out to the owners of the property and attempting to collect any insurance information that we can. So our local charter does allow us to collect a percentage of the insurance claim. We can then hold that claim in a non-interest bearing account and keep it until the abatement is to our standards. So if it was a house that had a small kitchen fire and maybe the cabinets needed to be replaced, we would retain a small percentage of that claim until they replace the cabinets and made sure that their vent is working again. And once we did that final inspection, we would release those funds back to them. And in the event that it was a large fire where 3/4 of the house is a total loss and it just needs to be demolished down to the foundation. Most of the times I think that people run away from those situations and don't want to pay for them. So we would retain that money for a certain amount of time, give them ample opportunity to make themselves known to us and do their own work. And then if they decided not to abate it for themselves, then we would use that insurance money to abate it.
Councilman Ashby.
Boy, that's fantastic and great that we're hearing about this. So I assume that's a process you go through right after the fire to attach some kind of lien, or are you still working out the specifics of that?
No, so it would follow the dangerous building process, similar to the hearings that we had back in October that we've started demolition requests on. So it is classified as a dangerous building, and in the event that we do use that tax money, or sorry, not tax money, the insurance money to pay for the remediation of the debris removal, whatever it may be, we would ask the contractor to give us a bill the same as they would for any other dangerous building that we ask them to demolish, and we would still set it up as a tax lien on the real estate tax bill.
Or added to the tax, the property tax?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I request a motion and a second for approval.
So move, Naquita Noah.
Second, Blake Ashby.
Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Ashby,
Aye.
Councilwoman Robinette,
Aye.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lipka,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson.
Aye.
Resolution number 2024-1 passes. We move to resolution number 2024-2. Without objections, we are introduced by council members present. Hear none. Attorney Thomas, could you please read the resolution?
Thank you, Mayor. A resolution of the City of Ferguson authorizing the city manager to enter into and execute a contract with Weiss Design Group for ARPA-funded 2023 to 2024 street improvements.
City Manager Hampton.
Yes, Mayor, Council, I believe Corey Gilbert's on this line. If Corey's here, Corey? I know he's been in and out. His Wi-Fi's been going in and out. He must be on the out right now. But we have went out for a request for RFQ. And we had two groups to come in, and we selected the Weiss Design Group with our past history and with knowing that the jobs will be performed correctly, and with the amount of money that we do have, we believe that this is the best group to go with.
Any questions? Hear
Mayor,
none.
I do have one. I'm sorry, let me throw my hand up.
Okay. Councilwoman Lipka?
Yes, ma'am. So before we go any further, I mean, I understand the communication, I understand the partnership with Weiss and everything else. And I know we're using our ARPA funds, so I have no problem with that. But I also know that we need to be diligent with our ARPA funds. And I think that, you know, the civil engineering design fee of $178,000 is fine. But I think that the bid specifications, there's another section of this breakdown that's $112,421.55, and that's construction, engineering, and administration fee, I should say. I would like to request that this be separated into two things, and that the second part be handled by our city staff, because I think that's something that our staff can do. And I think that that's $112,000 we can spend on something else that our citizens have requested from us with those ARPA funds.
Yeah, so look, I can speak on a little bit of this. We at first brought the Weiss Group, and then we were requested to go out for RFQ. The RFQ does not dictate the pricing. And then so when me and Corey Gilbert, the Public Works Director, talked today, we're going to look at all the portions of the actual bid that will be going out and see where we can save money.
Say that again.
So we were asked to go out for an RFQ. We went out for an RFQ. I know you're bringing up money right now. That was not a portion of that, of this right now. So we're talking about something totally different. We went out for RFQ, and that was some qualifications. You're talking about the money. That was when we brought them back the last time. And like I said, me and Corey Gilbert, we were going to look at what we can do to break that down though, and see how we can save the money.
So does that mean that what we've got in our council packet that breaks down these costs, that's not what we're voting on right now? That's not what we're listening to?
We went out to select a vendor. We did not go out for pricing. No. And that still all has to go out for bid. We selected Weiss as our design group, as our engineering group.
So everything that was bidded out on Weiss's proposal is pretty much
that was never bidded out.
Well,
that was never bidded out. That was estimates. Those were rough estimates.
okay, so the proposal of professional services from September 27th with the breakdown of costs, you're saying that that is going to completely go out the window and start all over again because it's going to have to be bid out once we hire Weiss to be the engineer?
So White's will come back now with a bid, and we'll do a presentation to council. And then at that point, then we can talk to him again, but me and Corey are gonna talk to him prior to that and see about breaking the project down to where we can do more stuff as staff.
Okay.
Okay, Councilwoman Nelson had her hand up next.
I just wanted to ask Manager Hampton. I'm grateful for the streets that we have come agreed on for Ward 1, but I was wondering if there was any way we could add College Drive to that list.
Yes, ma'am.
Since
So
we haven't really gotten a
yes.
full bid from Weiss. And I know
Right.
we
So
need to take care of these ARPA funds this year.
yes, ma'am.
They need to be spent.
So with that, we just have to dedicate the funds, and we do have a little extra money that has not going to be dedicated yet. But we will have that dedicated before the end of 2024. It does not have to be spent within 2024. But with College Drive, we want to get with the school. We want to get with Flow Valley because they are currently, there's a lot of traffic going through there right now. And with the increased amount of traffic on Hudson and College Drive itself, we feel that that should not just be the city expense. And so Corey Gilbert and myself, we are going to try to have a meeting with this school to see if they can pick up a larger portion of that, to help offset some of that.
Okay.
Now, Councilwoman Nelson, you're taking away all my strategic demolition driving if you take that away. I'm getting really good at learning how to go back and forth.
Dodge the potholes and all of that, huh?
Yeah, don't take my fun.
Okay, Councilwoman Noah.
Well, thank you, Chief. I'm glad that you clarified that because thank you, Councilwoman Lipka, for asking that question because I was curious myself and just, if there are some funds available, for some comprehensive patching of potholes in Ward 3, please don't forget about Menard Manor, Wyland Court, Rockingham, Rouse, Ellsworth. Again, I know that we have to share, because there are streets in all 3 wards, but I just wanted to state that. And again, thanks for the clarification on that.
Thank you. Let me go to Attorney Thomas, then Councilman Palmer. I will come back to you.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to briefly follow up on what City Manager Hampton said on the RFQ process, because there are specific Missouri statutory requirements for the RFQ process. And so that's the reason that the city went out without looking at costs first, and they just look at qualifications for the engineering firms. That's set in stone in Missouri statutes that's the process municipalities have to follow. And so we go out for qualifications first, select a firm, and then after that, that's typically when the negotiations for costs take place. So I just wanted to briefly kind of describe that process for the city council. And I guess with respect to this resolution, you might know the answer to this, City Manager Hampton, but the resolution does mention that this is for entering into and executing this specific contract. Is this something that would it be tabled tonight, or would we come back to it after a discussion with Weiss?
No, this is us selecting Weiss as the group.
Okay.
Group. And like I said, once we select a group, then we're going to go with pricing for them, and then we'll break down the project from there.
Thank you, Attorney Thomas. Councilman Palmer.
I'm going the same direction Mr. Seelig went with this. When I see the word contract, and then when I see in the documentation of the packet, there are numbers there which would be considered one of the essential functions of a contract, which is consideration. where if we were just accepting the Weiss Design Group's qualifications and entering into or allowing the city manager to negotiate the contract, that's probably the way I'm thinking this needs to go. When I read the Missouri statute, it seemed like you first go for qualifications, and then that allows the city manager to, or the authority having jurisdiction to negotiate a fair and acceptable cost. Is that correct, Mr. Seelig?
Yes, Councilman Palmer.
So am I correct? Am I reading it the way this reads? This sounds like it's authorizing funds being a contract, correct?
That was how I read it initially as well.
Okay, so it concerns me to vote on this if it, like I said, it makes me feel like even with that having those solid numbers in the packet, it makes me feel like we're voting on hiring them for the work, not preparing, not that we're accepting the qualifications and, authorizing the city manager to negotiate the price for the work. Is that what we should be doing instead?
Yep.
That was a question for Mr. Seelig.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a specific requirement that we have two separate resolutions. The first to select the Weiss Design Group as the as the person that we're selecting for the job, and then later we'll approve the contract. I'm not sure if that's how the city has done it in the past or not. I'm happy to look into it more and speak with Apollo about it as well. My initial thought looking at it, though, is that it looks like it was authorizing the city manager to go ahead and enter into the contract and execute it, as opposed to just selecting the Weiss Design Group.
Right. And anytime we allocate funds via resolution, that requires a council measure, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Ashby.
So I guess what's on the table is, are we trying to bring part of the work in-house and have our staff do it? And I think that's what Councilwoman Lipka was suggesting, that we split it into two, the parts that are clearly the engineering and the other part that was more of the bureaucratic. And I thought we had gone through the process and the city staff had decided that it actually made more sense to use Weiss for both parts of that. But then I guess my question to the city manager is, do you think you'll negotiate a different contract, or is this generally the contract we expect to get? And should we go ahead and vote on this contract, or give you the authority to enter into this contract? And so is there an expectation on the part of city staff that they will renegotiate part of this, or do they consider it largely to be a done deal?
So my understanding, we were just going up for the RFQ, and I thought that was what was just in the packet.
Okay, so you're ready to negotiate the contract then?
Yes.
Okay, so then back to Thomas's and Palmer's point, we probably need to modify if this is what you're saying, Chief, that we just say we need to give you the authorization to negotiate with them, and once you've got a final, you'll come back with the price.
Correct.
So,
Councilwoman Lipka.
thank you, Mayor. So what I'm getting, and I'm just going to break this down from what I'm hearing, and then, Mayor, you jump in and correct me, or Chief Hampton. So I had asked the question about the pricing, because what was in our council packet was the original paperwork that we received in September. And that paperwork had pricing breakdowns from Weiss. So that was just repeated in today's packet. And so, but in the meanwhile, in the past, when this came before us, we asked for an RFQ to be done, which is what Chief Hampton is saying is what this resolution tonight is supposed to be approving. So that being said, we have the wrong resolution before us tonight, as far as I'm concerned. We need to have a resolution that approves the city manager to go forward with the RFQ. Because if we approve this resolution, we're actually approving financial numbers and a contractual obligation. And this could turn around and bite us in the back end if we're not being diligent on what we're actually trying to accomplish. So when I asked the question about could we separate these two sections of this proposal, that is when the city manager said, no, this isn't a proposal of payment, so to speak. I'm just using that. That's not exactly what you said, Chief Hampton, but that's how I'm breaking it down. You were saying this is more of a resolution to get approval for an RFQ. So I would like to make a motion that, well, I'm going to ask this first. My question then is, do we need to have this rewritten and brought back at the next council meeting so that we can properly approve the resolution? Or do we want to make I would say, do we want to make amendments to this before we approve it? But quite honestly, we'd have to amend the whole thing. And so I really think I'm just going to take that thought off the table. I think we need to rewrite this to correctly reflect what we're talking about tonight, because if we're not talking about contractual money, then it shouldn't be in this resolution.
Yeah, and I agree. We'll bring this back because I think what messed things up is we went out for an RFQ, and then I believe somebody, a council person, asked for more information. And I think that's where some of this money was put in. It should not have been put in this because we're actually going just for the RFQ like you guys asked us to do.
Okay. So can I make a motion that we put this on the back burner right now and let
Yes,
city
postpone
staff.
it. Yes, you
Yeah,
can.
so
Put the motion on the floor.
I make a motion that we put resolution 2024-02 on hold so that city staff can amend it and present it at the next council meeting in January.
Is there a second?
Adrian Nelson, second.
Now you ready for the question, Councilman Blake?
Mayor, before we do that, before we do that, can I just clarify the motion with the motion based off your conversation, what that motion should be?
Okay.
And I think because we're making so many changes to the resolution, I think the motion should be just to postpone 2024-02 indefinitely. So when it comes back, it'll come back as a completely different resolution with appropriate documentation. So,
so then let me restart. So I would like to make a motion that we remove resolution 2024-02 and put it on hold indefinitely to allow city staff to bring back a different resolution. I mean, that's basically what we're trying to do, correct, Octavia?
Yeah, so it'll just it'll be to postpone indefinitely 2024-02.
Can't we just remove it? Why do we have to postpone indefinitely? Can't we just say remove?
No, that's actually not proper.
Oh, okay. I didn't know, so that's why I asked. All right, so I make a motion that we postpone resolution 2024-02 indefinitely.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, question, Councilman Blake.
So my concern is that we thought we were ready to sign a contract in November and have the city start bidding out services. And we, through some miscommunication, we went then back to the request for qualifications. And that took 2 months for them to come back and say, we think Weiss is our team and we want to do the deal with them. And I thought that the contract we were getting was the one negotiated. But so are we talking about then, my concern is, does this add 2 months or does this add 1 month? Next month, is the city coming back with an actual negotiated contract for us to vote on? Or are they coming back to us with, again, confirming the request for qualifications? Are we expecting an actual contract to vote on at the next session?
No.
So next session, I'll bring a resolution that will select it from the RFQ, the Weiss Design Group.
Okay, and so my question is, it wouldn't be that hard to introduce a new resolution saying we approve the appointment of Weiss. We approve the city to negotiate with Weiss on that contract. So we can say that fairly simply. And then instead of you coming back to us with a resolution saying, hey, how about Weiss? You just start negotiating with Weiss and come back with an actual contract from Weiss.
You can't jump over things though. You have to follow the process.
Right. Oh, I understand that, but suddenly we're 5 months into, what's going. Go ahead.
I'm just saying. I mean, honestly, Blake, we've got 4 or 5 things on the back of our agenda, actually ABC through H of things on the back of our agenda that we've been holding on to for a long, long time. So this isn't anything new for the way we do things.
Well, I guess my comment would be that we've got ARPA money to spend. We know where it's going to go. And I'm not sure, my impression is we all agree Weiss is the firm. If we all agree Weiss is the firm, why not authorize the city manager actually start negotiating with Weiss instead of having him come back? Go ahead.
Let him finish.
Instead of making him come back in 1 month and say, hey, I'd like your approval to negotiate with Weiss, and then coming back 1 month later with an actual contract, because suddenly we've lost 6 months of time when we could be working on Ferguson streets, and not that we're going to lose the ARPA money, but we're going to be in a less competitive situation because everybody's construction calendar is going to be full. So we'll have wasted another month that we don't need to waste by just doing a simple resolution authorizing the city manager of Ferguson to enter into negotiations with Weiss Design Group. That's all it has to say. Simple resolution.
So my response to you, Mr. Ashby, is one, when Weiss came to us in September and made this presentation, they already had some people in mind. 2, the getting on the construction calendar, I understand that, but getting anything done in the last 4 months, not so much, because we have uncanny weather. 3, the most important thing that I'm personally hearing is we get the RFQ, we approve Weiss in the RFQ, and then that allows Weiss and the city to go out for bid. If we just accept this contract as it's been given to us, it's not gone out for bid. We haven't got other opportunities for people to send in their process, as well as what Mr. Hampton or Chief Hampton said tonight. There are parts of this that he and Corey feel that the city can do, and that has not been discussed yet. So that's kind of like the city going into bid for themselves in a certain aspect. So all of that would need to be negotiated too. So I hear what you're saying. I do not want any citizen who is listening to think that we as a council don't want the streets fixed. We all want that. We all want that as soon as possible. But it also has to be done in a process that not only is qualified through the state of Missouri and through proper bidding process, but it also allows us to make sure we're spending these dollars wisely so that we can answer concerns that Councilwoman Nelson brought up tonight and Councilwoman Noah brought up tonight, that they would like to see extra funds put toward.
Understood.
Thank you. Councilman Palmer.
I was just going to say, we could pretty simply just say a resolution of the city of Ferguson authorizing the city manager to negotiate a contract with Weiss Design Group and just omit 5 words. That would not be a complex amendment, but there is a motion on the table already that we're just discussing. So
I think that's the compromise right there. And Linda, to your Councilwoman Lipka, to your point, the city believes they can take a hard look at this and maybe save some money. Let's authorize them right now to start taking that hard look with the simple changes that Councilman Palmer recommended.
Well, let's fix.
I say one thing. Can I say one thing?
City manager.
So I just again looked at it in the box. If you look at the resolution 2024-02, that is for the RFQ. If you continue in your paperwork, that is for 2023 dash, oh goodness. Hold on, let me pull up 2023.
So are you saying we just got old information attached?
It's just attached. The 2024-02 is the resolution for the RFQ.
And that's the one we need.
And that's the one we need.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Councilman Palmer, is that what you see too?
I just want to make sure we're not signing a check tonight. Let's just put it that way.
Right. I totally agree.
Attorney Thomas, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to make sure that I'm looking at the right document as well. So the first page, the resolution 2024-02, section 1, reads, the city council hereby approves the agreement with Weiss Design and Construction Engineering attached hereto as Exhibit 1.
See, that's what gets me, because Exhibit 1 is the contract. So that doesn't work. It also says interim city manager, that should be changed.
So let me bring this back. Well, you guys.
Well, no,
I-
no.
There's enough confusion here that we should bring a resolution back to the next city council meeting. There's just so much going on right now. We should be transparent. It should be, we shouldn't all jump on and change 5 words or not change 5 words. Let's clear it up and bring it back to the next council meeting. That is my
Great.
suggestion, Mayor.
Well,
That would
that
be-
is the motion that's on the floor to
Right.
postpone this indefinitely. Are you ready to vote? Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
I was not ready to vote, Mayor. I apologize. I would like to discuss that further. I understand that we're not going to write a check. Councilman Palmer has suggested the changes, and clearly there was misunderstanding because Chief Hampton thought he was just asking for approval of the RFQ, and somehow that didn't get translated into our paperwork, which is a darn shame. Is there any reason not to make those 5 changes, or just to do a new resolution? Literally just a new resolution.
Not
I
on
hear.
the fly. Not on the fly. That is dangerous.
How is it dangerous?
Point of order. We have a motion on the floor to postpone resolution number 2024-2 indefinitely. We are ready to vote, and by carrying that vote, that gives the city manager and the staff an opportunity to create a new resolution and bring it back to us. Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Lipka,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah,
Hi.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Ashby,
Aye.
Councilwoman Robinette,
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye. Resolution number 2024-2 is postponed indefinitely. We move to bills requiring the first reading. We have bill number 7267. Without objection, we're introduced by council members present. Hear none, Attorney Thomas, could you read the bill by title only?
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance amending certain sections within Division 3 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Ferguson relating to the city's pension plan and fund.
City Manager Hampton, could you please explain?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, so it's been back and forth with the retirees about raising the multiplier by 2 to 2, not by 2, but to the total of 2. I know we need to do a little bit more work on the financials of it. But I believe with us passing the first reading, we'd be okay, and then we'll get the financials, and so we can present that for the second reading.
Okay, thank you. No action taken at this time. We have bills required for second reading. Bill number 7266. I request a motion and a second to read the bill a second time and place it upon its passage. Is there a motion?
Second, Aquita Noah.
Attorney Thomas, could you please read the bill?
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance enacting certain sections within Division 1 of Article 5 of Chapter 44 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Ferguson, all relating to the regulation of the parking of commercial vehicles on city-owned lots in the city of Ferguson, Missouri.
The bill has been amended. I request a roll call unless City Manager, you have anything to add?
No, ma'am, we just did a little bit of amending. We did not do a whole revamp of the bill. Sorry.
Councilwoman Lipka.
So in the past, whenever we've amended something and we've got it sent back to us, there's a highlighted area or a red line area. And I don't see that on this. What part did you amend?
It's at section 4. I believe it said instead of shall, it should say may. Tom, you're on this as well, correct?
Oh, crap. Okay.
Thomas, can you share what was amended, please?
Yes, so I'm not sure if I was involved in the amendment. I'm taking a look at it now.
All ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are, to the extent of such conflict, hereby repealed. Is that the section?
Pulling it up right now, the red line.
So section 4 or section 1, number 4.
Section 4.
Okay. So as it reads on the resolution, all ordinance and parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are, to the extent of such conflict, hereby repealed.
No, it's not that. It's the hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. It's number 4, section 1. Separate the may, it was shall.
Okay, so it was shall, it is may.
Yep.
Okay. So now it's up for discussion with the word may.
Councilman Palmer.
There was an event tonight earlier in the meeting that brought to light a situation that may not have been addressed in the bill. City Manager, this bill specifically, when you mentioned it, you gave some examples of vehicles parked on city lot near the Aldi's grocery store, correct?
Correct.
Now, we just found out tonight that the city actually leases property that's owned by a different individual behind Aldi's. Does this bill take into consideration that?
So there are sections that are ours behind that. That is not considered city lot, that portion.
So if somebody parks a tractor trailer on Miss Smith's property, which the city leases, that would not cause them to be towed. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
So before I do that, I know we just motioned to approve the original form. So if the council was interested in accepting the amendment, we have to vote to do that.
Okay.
Because that was never presented to the council.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Point of clarification.
Isn't it on here?
No, it's not on the one that the original 7266 is how it was presented the first time you all got it.
Oh, where it says amended bill, we have to vote on that first. I gotcha.
Okay, we need a motion and a second to amend bill number 7266.
So motion, Blake Ashby.
Second, Heather Robinette.
Now, Clerk Pittman, call the roll for the amendment of bill number 7266.
Okay, Councilman Ashby,
Aye.
Councilwoman Robinette,
Aye.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lipka,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Bill number 7266 has been amended. Now do we vote on the bill?
yes.
Okay,
As
we already,
amended.
okay. Requesting a motion in a second for bill
We
number,
already-
huh?
We're voting as amended.
We voting as amended.
Councilwoman Lipka,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Robinette,
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Councilman Ashby.
Aye.
Bill number 7266 has been voted on as amended and approved. We move to number 10, unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? Hear none, we move to number 11, new business. We have tabled the whistle stop information to the next meeting. So Councilwoman Lipka?
I do want to bring something to the table under new business.
Okay.
I would like to know if it is possible, if we could start getting our agendas a week ahead of time. The reason I ask this, and I don't mean to like make you scared. I don't mean to shake up your world, Octavia, but I have found it increasingly hard to get the proper information I need, because when we get our agendas either on Thursday or Friday, and then City Hall closes by noon, and then it's the weekend, and then we get back to the work week and everybody's busy with catching up on Mondays. By the time you get somebody on the phone on a Monday, or you have to go to Tuesday, we're up against the deadline of a council meeting. So my request is that we get our agendas 5 days ahead of time. And if that's not possible for any legalities or Robert Rules reasonings, could we at least get a working agenda so that we as a council know what's coming up? And if we have questions, we can address those questions even before a finalized agenda. But I would like to request more time lead time given to us on these agendas before council meetings.
So I do understand, I understand why you're making this request, but I will say that it's going to be extremely difficult. However, the city manager and we've had conversations about bringing information to the council more timely. Will you allow us an opportunity to now be able to work together to figure out what a better plan is for that? The concern is if I bring you the council meeting agenda that far in advance.
I realize it's going to have a lot of changes. That's why I was wondering, that's why I wanted to use the wording a working agenda versus a finalized agenda. I think the thing for me, Ms. Pittman, is that when we get it on a Friday, that gives me no time to get into it or ask questions. And, you know, I work weekends, a lot of people do. So, I mean, my work week starts at that time. So if we could at least have 48 hours, which that would mean like Wednesday, Thursday, you know, that would give us 2 full days to have the opportunity to speak to people at City Hall or speak to the city manager or get on his calendar, you know, that kind of thing.
So
Let's see. I know earlier that week, I do have at least a preliminary agenda. As I stated, I mean, it'll be difficult to get to you anything final that early. Because that's almost immediately following the last meeting agenda. So based off the timing, it would be, you know, I'd have to have to you the next agenda by, you know, next week. And we typically don't really have it done that early, just with everything to bring to it. There are times we might be able to do so. But like I said, the city manager and I, we have discussed, you know, different ways and different options of bringing information to you. You know, in the interim, I could try to, you know, get you, you know, what we have, you know, in terms of a preliminary agenda. You know, we could try that. We can try that until we can find a better solution. I can even make as a rule, if we do, you know, an additional 24 hours in advance. My fear is just pushing staff. They're already on, you know, it's already so short. But if we can try to get it for at least another 24 hours, get it to you guys. Even if it's a matter of getting it to you before it's finally published. give you all an opportunity maybe to ask the questions in the end, publish it on Friday. If
Yeah, because like Friday, now that the city hall closes at noon, I mean, it's a lost work day. You know what I mean? So like, if we even got it by Thursday morning, that would give time. I mean, that would be helpful.
it would, it would. I do understand. Quite often I'm still scrambling trying to get all the information myself. So, but let's, if you're okay with that, if you're okay with just give us a couple of weeks so that we can finish, at least what this is going to look like, so that we can bring something to you. Maybe by the next meeting we can, maybe have at least another option.
That sounds great. I just appreciate you listening.
Okay, Councilman Palmer. Councilman Palmer, you have your hand up.
Mrs. Pittman, would it make more sense possibly that when you are asked by a counselor, department head, staff member, board or commission, anybody to put something on the agenda, that you just let us know once you receive that request? I mean, it will be a couple emails, but that way we're at least getting things as they come across, and then there can be some hopefully healthy debate, by email, somewhat beforehand, or some house cleaning that we've seen needs to be done with some bills and stuff. Would that make sense?
Sounds good.
I mean, I think even that is going to be a daunting task, just kind of the way that the items are brought up. But there are options. There are options in being able to provide you the information. We've talked about reports. We've talked about making sure that, staff is proactive, in the items that we're bringing forward and getting them to you guys, so that way you're aware of what's coming and being able to track it. So we've had several conversations about that. And, that's why I asked, just if you can give us, in the meantime, I could try to provide to you what I have, but hopefully by, maybe the next council meeting, he and I can maybe have a more workable solution.
That sounds great. Everyone agreed to give them an opportunity to find a solution and then give it to us by the next meeting. Okay, Clerk Pittman, any other business for new business? Hear none, we move to miscellaneous. Councilwoman Noah.
Thank you, Mayor. First, can I ask City Manager regarding Resolution 2401, the Community Development Director gave an explanation about the fees and the fires. I could not capture all of that information. I couldn't write that fast. So my ask is that if she could send you the email just explaining what she stated in the meeting to us, just so I can have that information, I would really appreciate that.
I will take care of that.
All of us, can you send it to all of us, please?
If I send it to one, I'll send it to all.
Of course, thank you. Because it's some good information. Next, sorry. I'm sorry. Today we got to attend the quarterly status hearing, and I just want everyone to know that I'm encouraged and optimistic. As yes, there is more progress to make. However, compared to January 23, we are making advancements. We, meaning the city of Ferguson Police Department, our new consent decree coordinator, recruitment is up, and no progress is minimal. So I'm very hopeful, and I appreciate all the work that's being put into the consent decree. I just ask that you all please continue to stay the course, and happy National Law Enforcement Day to the Ferguson Police Department. We do appreciate all that you all do for the city. And I would like to welcome all of the new Ferguson police staff and the new officers. Thank you for choosing Ferguson. And I also want to welcome all of the new businesses to Ferguson, because the businesses continue to grow, and again, thank you for choosing Ferguson. Thank you to all of the Ferguson businesses. Lots of anniversaries coming up. Again, that shows continue growth in our community. And the Ward 3 Neighborhood Association meetings. So we're going to have the Southwest Neighborhood Association meeting on Monday, January 22nd. It will be Zoom. North Hills will meet the third Saturday, January 20th at 10 a.m. It's also Zoom. I am trying to plan an in-person meeting in North Hills. I'm working on that. Hopefully we can make that happen. South Central Ward 3 Ferguson meets every fourth Thursday. The next meeting will be January 25th at 6 p.m. via Zoom. Nesbitt Newton meeting will be Wednesday, January 31st at the Ferguson Empowerment Center at 6 p.m. And the next Forest Wood meeting will be Tuesday, February 6th at Emmaus Bible Chapel at 7 p.m. Residents can call or Zoom in. And that's it. Again, thank you, staff. Thank you, city manager, to our clerk. You know, everyone just continues to stay the course and, you know, everything is working out well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Noah. Councilman Palmer,
I have nothing tonight.
Councilman Ashby.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Councilwoman Noah said about the consent decree hearing. I have to say it was reassuring to see the chief and Chief Hampton and Chief Doyle down there and know that we've got the right team in place finally to start making some really good progress on this. There is a Jeske Park meeting coming up at the First Baptist Church this Thursday. Councilwoman Day will be there, and along with some other Ferguson City people. If you've got a chance to attend, it'll be should be a good meeting and a chance to ask our county councilwoman what's going on in the council. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Ashby. Councilwoman Robinette.
I have nothing this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilwoman Lipka.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say happy Law Enforcement Day, and I hope all of our officers stay safe. And thank you for the service they've given us each and every day, 365. Also want to welcome the new officers. I was with you and Councilwoman Noah and Councilman Ashby welcoming our new young man. And we also had female officers that were inducted into the police department, I think a couple weeks prior or a week and a half prior to that one. And I know that there are more in the pipeline, so things are moving forward and it's a good thing. I also wanted to let the community know that I did have the opportunity on December 28th to stand in New York City outside of the Today Show and plug Ferguson, Missouri. So I said I was going to do it. I did it. If you saw it, it was fun. If you didn't, I have a recording if you want to see it. No, I'm kidding. But it was fun.
Yes.
And I just really appreciate this community. I know we're going into a campaign season. So, you know, please, folks, make your own decisions, learn about your candidates, ask them questions, meet them, shake their hand, talk to them. You don't have to agree with everything, but do your own homework. Don't take someone else's opinion. Don't take someone else's comments as truth. Go make your own decisions. It's important because your council members will affect your life more directly than any presidential election. So be smart, be informed, and be open. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lipka. Councilwoman Nelson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to encourage everyone, like always, to remember that there are still opportunities to be on the boards and commissions, and we're still needing people in several boards and commission slots. So please take an application, fill out an application, get an emailed application or get one from myself, your council member, because it's important that your voices are heard and that you know what's going on in your city. I'll piggyback on what Councilwoman Lipka said, and that is true, but I also would like for those of us who are not registered voters to be registered voters. All of our voices should be heard, that is correct, and everyone should take the time to get to know their council persons or future council persons and know what they stand for within their communities and them. That's all I got.
Thank you, Councilwoman Nelson. Clerk Pittman.
No report.
Attorney Thomas.
I don't have anything. Thank you, Mayor.
City Manager Hampton.
Just to let you know, I'm gonna take full responsibility on that 2024-02. That should not have come to you the way it did, and I apologize for that. That shall not happen again. So, thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. I would just like to share, we were at the status hearing today, and Attorney Thomas did a fantastic job representing the city of Ferguson. And we do appreciate everything you said to the judge and to the monitor and to the DOJ. They took it to heart. And I thank you for what you had prepared to share at the status hearing. Last Sunday past, Heavenly Cream had their 1 year anniversary. And so we have, like Councilwoman Noah said, a lot of businesses celebrating their 1 year anniversary. To our police department, we're excited that Officer Brown was pinned to be a part of the Ferguson Police Department. But more importantly, it was exciting to see so many residents out cheering on our new police officers. So that was phenomenal to see the residents are taking an active vested interest in the officers that our chief is bringing on. Just want to piggyback off what Councilwoman Nelson and Lipka said. We are in the election process, and I just hope that we won't tear each other down to the point that we can't recover. Get to know the people who are running, but you don't have to tear them down. I mean, we don't have to do that. We just don't have to do that. So I'm just asking that if your yard sign come up missing, don't accuse your opponent, because a lot of time your opponent don't even know anything about your yard sign. The wind get heavy in February and March and they blow away. So just be mindful that your opponent is not always as an enemy. So that's all I have for at this time. We are going to go into closed session. So I'm gonna request a motion in a second to go into closed session pursuant 610.02 subsection 3 to discuss personnel matters.
So move Naquita Noah.
Second, Heather Robinette.
Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
Councilman Palmer,
Aye.
Councilman Ashby,
Aye.
Councilwoman Robinette,
Aye.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lipka,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson.
Aye.
Just like to say good night to everyone. Council, please use the second Zoom link for the closed session. Good night, everyone.
Night.